that'll have to do. And without further ado, I'd like to introduce Rosemary Curtis from Big Breakfast Plus. Over to you, Rosemary.
Good morning, everybody. And I'm absolutely delighted to see that one of our former chairs is in the meeting. So good morning, Ram. Hope you're well. Big Breakfast Plus, we've been supporting and serving the homeless in Swindon since 1993. In normal times, whatever they are or were, we provide a warm welcome and a free cooked breakfast, cereal and toast 7 days a week with unlimited refills of hot drinks. We believe that breakfast is the most important meal of the day, and that's why we're proud to serve over 8,000 breakfasts to homeless people in Swindon every year. Annually, we welcome over 600 separate individuals who may be rough sleeping, sofa surfing, have no access to cooking facilities or income to pay for food, or are in danger of rough sleeping. And not only is the food hot, but it's individually ordered and served, providing choice for those who have little or no choice in their lives. We started out as the Broad Green Breakfast Club, and Breakfast Club is still what many of our guests call us. We changed our name in 2013 to distinguish ourselves from the business breakfast networking groups springing up, and to emphasise that it's not just about serving food. We provide an opportunity for homeless people to meet and socialise in a warm and inviting place. It's also a safe place for outreach workers from other local support agencies to introduce themselves and encourage our guests to take advantage of advice and signposting available during the day, including help with housing, physical and mental health issues, drug and alcohol addiction, finance and benefits, employment and volunteering opportunities. We moved from Broad Green to the Haven at Queen's Drive in January 2019 to support the temporary winter housing project when it moved there. The first year it opened, it was at Carfax Medical Centre, and we were still able to support them from our old premises in St Luke's Church Hall. But 2019, it moved to the Haven. So we moved there too, also to support the concept of the one-stop multi-agency homeless hub that was being set up there. However, we were an early victim of lockdown, having to close overnight on the 18th of March 2020, as at that point, the government really didn't have a plan for homeless services, and we were classed as a social gathering and therefore illegal. It proved impractical for us to reopen between lockdowns, as the layout of the Haven is such that instead of the average 23 guests a day, in fact sometimes up to 40 that we're used to supporting, we would have had to restrict our service to a maximum of 8 or 10, depending on how many staff and volunteers were also on site. And also, if possible, we were being urged to get them to book ahead, hardly practicable with such a vulnerable group of people so early in the day. And we just couldn't cope with the concept of a first come, first served service and having to turn people away at the door. We've also listened to our guests who tell us that while the Haven is accessible for other services later in the day, it's that bit too far out of the centre of the town first thing in the morning. During COVID-19, we've been supporting would-be guests by providing food vouchers, Greg's food vouchers for us sleepers, and linking in with other services to distribute them. Behind the scenes, though, in addition to planning for reopening in line with the restrictions lifting from mid-June onwards, we're also identifying where we can develop our operating model and processes so that the charity emerges from the pandemic stronger and more sustainable. We're very conscious that services and support for homeless people has changed significantly during the pandemic. Rough sleepers have been offered accommodation, and housing assessments are being provided in a generally timely manner. And the homeless prevention team are doing precisely that. So we're scoping the level of need and how we will operate in the future, and who our guests and beneficiaries will be. We aren't ready to announce when and where we'll be reopening, but we will update everyone on the attendance list of this event so that you'll know when we are, and we'll make sure that you know what that service is at that point. We're at a turning point now, not only with planning for reopening, but also in shifting how our charity is managed, moving from the current trustee-led micromanaged model towards delegating the day-to-day running and aspects of strategic planning to an employed charity manager. And we're interviewing for an interim business development manager on Friday. So I'm very conscious that I'm not really able to tell you what we're doing at the moment, but we wanted to let you know that we're still very much in business. We're still very much alive and well, and that we will be back as soon as it's practicable for us to be so. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Rosemary, for that great overview. I'm just wondering, is there any questions for Rosemary? If you have them, please feel free to either put your hand up or unmute and shout. Okay, well, as I say, we'll refer any questions then on via email, so do give us a shout. Oh, someone has put their hand up. Melanie.
Yes, hello. I've got a question for Rosemary. Rosemary, what about equipment? Have you got a load of equipment? Because I actually work for the charity shop in Cavendish Square. What we can save aside is equipment like kitchenware and things like that, if that would be of any use. Also, maybe we can talk, and perhaps there might be some areas that we could perhaps help you, like a bit with clothing or bedding, something like that. We've helped other charities in the past, and maybe that's another link we could actually perhaps build up again.
That would be great, Melanie. We probably won't have the storage capacity to give out, distribute clothing. What I didn't mention is that one of my other hats is that I'm convener of Hosts, which is homeless organisations standing together in Swindon. And one of the things that I'm really keen on wearing that hat is that we have an up-to-date directory of services, who's doing what, when, where, and how. So as far as clothing and bedding is concerned, that would really fit nicely into that. And as far as your query about equipment is concerned, I think two things. We've got basic kitchen equipment. We've got fridge, freezer, we've got bain-marie, all those sorts of things. We are being supported by a number of fundraisers, and one of the things that we've suggested is that one of the groups fundraising for us might like to purchase kitchen crockery and cutlery for us, so that we actually have a matched set. It is, I think, really important message to give to our guests, that they aren't just getting second best, or
absolutely,
however welcome that that is. And in many respects, it works both ways, because in some respects, the message that we've had support from the community is a really important one.
Absolutely.
And so it's getting that right balance. But certainly love to have a conversation with you off camera about that.
Not a problem at all. And I totally agree. It's about empowering people and enhancing their living. you know, and making them feel like they are exactly the same as everyone else. And I love your idea that, you know, every breakfast is actually individually ordered, because something so small that we take for granted can go a long way. So thank you.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. And